Hey everybody, John here. This is the Blue Water Outlook Weekly Weather Briefing, February 15th. Now many, as we get towards late February, are starting to think about spring. Will it come early? Will it winter linger? So I'll be talking about that in this briefing. I'll also be talking about that in my posts. And take a look at this right here. Maybe that gives you some clue of what I'll be talking about. Okay, so one of the signs is we have severe storms now in the southeast U.S. I put a post out about that, where this is the time of year where we can get severe weather in the south central and the southeast. And that is needed rain. This area is in a drought, severe to extreme drought. So we need more rain, and we had some rain here this last week in parts of Oklahoma and Arkansas, parts of Texas, and that area was also in a drought. So this was welcome rain in many spots. Now we did have some snow last week, not a lot, higher elevations of the west and New England. But when we look at the snow on the ground, what do we see? Well, we don't see much at all over the central U.S. It is snow-free, and one of the things that will do is help accelerate that transition of spring, because if we have a deep snow cover, which we do a number of years in this area, it'll slow that warming, and without any snow, that should help it warm up, and we'll see that this week. But you can see some snow in the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, and the Northeast, where it's been a rough winter. Now last week we had some really mild weather. Take a look at North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Montana, areas that are typically really cold at this time of year, and temperature departures were 10 to 20 degrees warmer than normal. And again, this area that has such a harsh winter, the Northeast, 10 to 15 degrees colder than normal. And if we want to look at the hottest temperatures, the warmest temperatures, anything in red last week, 80 or more, anything in this brown, 70 or more. And look at this, 60-degree temperatures all the way up into the Dakotas. Quick look at rivers here. You can see all the red. We have quite a few rivers that are well below normal in the southeast, the mid-Atlantic, and that's reflecting that drought in that area. No flooding is expected this week, with the exception of California coast, and that area will be quite active this week and possibly next. So we're in a Pacific Ridge type pattern, and this is what it does. It bows the jet stream to the north, and then it dips down to the south with cooler weather, and then it goes back up to the north. That's expected to last through the end of February. Then we get in a much more mixed type pattern. So what does that mean? Well, here we go. This week we have this ridge of high pressure pushing up to the north with warm weather, and in the west, cool weather, and then right now this is that severe weather. Now by Wednesday, this area of low pressure dips a little bit more to the south. It breaks down the ridge, so we'll have some cooler weather pushing in the second half of the week. But then next week, take a look at this. This is February 25th. That ridge pushes right back up, and we have another return to mild weather over large parts of the nation. Now, an exception is going to be the West Coast. We're going to have some action here with this flow onshore. Now, you might look at it a little bit clearer here with temperatures in 5-day increments. Take a look at the first 5 days right here, and then we have this really warm weather. Then it cools down a bit. Second 5 days, third 5 days, it comes right back in. But meanwhile, the western U.S. here stays below normal through that entire period. Now, we can see record-breaking temperatures this week. This is Tuesday and Wednesday. 60s and 70s are in the yellows and oranges, and communities circled, those are areas that will likely exceed the record highs. Okay, so that's temperature. Let's talk about rain and snow. Well, California is going to get some really heavy snow at higher elevations, some heavy coastal rain. Other than that, it looks pretty quiet, and could be several feet of snow here in the Sierras. Otherwise, Rockies could get some snow here, and I've been talking about that snow drought. And then in the far upper U.S., right along the Canadian border, we could get some snow, but overall, obviously with 60s and 70s, no significant snow. Okay, so let's look a little bit further out, and we can see in week 2, here's that pattern where we have the cooler weather in the west, very large area of above normal temperatures, and here's our precipitation. We might be focusing on the Pacific Northwest for some action. Weeks 3 and 4, this gives us some clue perhaps as we get into March, what we might start out like. And how's that saying go? In like a lamb? We'll see. Out like a lion. That's this week's briefing. Take care.